I'll just give obeisances. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvisheshunyavadi Paschadishtarine. Om Jnanatimandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, I'll start now. So, today's topic is Krishna Dham, Krishna Dham and Krishna Dham. So this was a slogan said by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Krishna Dham, Krishna Dham and Krishna Dham. And he wrote it so in his Gaudiya Mat, he wrote this on the wall to help devotees understand that what is Krishna consciousness. If you ask what is Krishna consciousness, there are many definitions given by Prabhupada, many perspectives, but this is one concise and precise definition of Krishna consciousness. So Krishna Dham means holy name, Krishna Dham. Krishna Kam means service, some activity for Krishna. And Krishna Dham means either you can say it as holy place or you can say it as association of devotees, because wherever there are devotees, that's holy place. And association of devotees means transaction of knowledge. And transaction of knowledge means books. So, Krishna consciousness is just three things: chanting holy names, doing something for Krishna, serving Him, and associating with devotees. That's all. If you do this, you are Krishna conscious. Of course, with a proper mentality. That we will talk. But this is a simple definition. But the point is, why Bhaktisiddhanta made this slogan, Krishna Kam, Krishna Dham, Krishna Dham? Why? Because to help us understand, you need to balance these three. All these three are important in their own perspective. You have to balance. You have to balance chanting holy names, associating devotees, or reading books is the same thing. If you read books, it's association of Prabhupada. And serving Krishna. So that balance, so about the balance I'll talk on the last day. That balance is required. Because sometimes we chant and we forget reading books. Sometimes we read books, we forget chanting. Sometimes we associate with devotees, but then we are doing something else except transaction of knowledge, something else is going on. So we have to take care. That's why he made this phrase, Krishna Dham, Krishna Kam, Krishna Dham. So these three topics, so there are three topics in one phrase. And these three topics I'm going to discuss in 3 days. That's my idea, because you can't finish a whole topic in 1 day. So the first topic I'm going to discuss is Krishna Dham. Krishna Dham means as taking association of devotees, or in other words, reading Prabhupada books. If you want to associate with Prabhupada, you have to read his books, that's all. Prabhupada says, if you want to understand me, read my books. And the next day, and the next seminar topic I'll take as Krishna Dham, art of chanting. That's when we have Srimad Bhagavatam class. When is that? Saturday morning. And then on Sunday evening, I'll take the third topic, Krishna Kam, that is the art of service. Love, lust and service. So that's how I designed this. So this is the first topic of that seminar, Krishna Kam, Krishna Dham, Krishna Kam, Krishna Dham. And the first topic is Krishna Dham. I start with books. Okay, so let's start this seminar now. Now this, having said that, about Krishna Dham, now I just told, holy place is defined by devotees. Now Srimad Bhagavatam says, if there are no devotees, that holy place is fit for crows and cows and donkeys and whatever animal you have. So that's not good for any human being. So besides that, holy place, wherever there are devotees, holy place automatically manifests. And Krishna says, there's a verse for that. Naham tisthami vaikuntho yoginam hridayeshu va yad gayanti mad bhakta tatra tisthami narada. So Krishna is saying to Narad Muni, I don't live in Vaikuntha. I don't live in hearts of yogis. Wherever my devotees sing my holy names and talk about me, there I am. Just like now. Krishna is here. Krishna might be there in Golok and Vaikuntha, but his mind is here. So wherever your mind is, you are there, isn't it? If you're sitting here and your mind is somewhere in the mall, you're not here. Although your physical body is here. So he's attracted in that way. So that is why if we read Prabhupada books and we discuss it and we understand that, then there is Prabhupada and there is Krishna. You see? So this phrase, I shall never die, I shall live forever in my books, this is said by Prabhupada in Science of Self-Realization. And why Prabhupada said this? Because reading books is associating with Prabhupada. That's all. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written a poem and he says a Vaishnava never dies, he forever lives in his words, isn't it? A devotee forever lives in his words. He is there. In the beginning there was word, W-O-R-D, and then everything manifested. No, Bible. So that's why books and knowledge, that is important. So knowledge defines, transaction of knowledge defines how much you are associating with devotees. Now we might be sitting in this temple 24 hours with devotees, but if we don't discuss something, that's not association. That's not association, by the way. If we are not chanting, if we are not reading books, if we are not discussing something, Krishna says in Gita, 10 chapter 9th verse, Matchit madgata prana bodhyanta parasparam kathyantas chamam nityam. Devotees should come together and discuss philosophy, have doubts and have discussions. That is Prabhupada said, that is the purpose of temple. That is why this nice building is there. Because ultimately knowledge matters. The less knowledge you have, the more you are a neophyte, a new devotee. The more there are chances of confusion. That's all, isn't it? That's all. The more knowledge you have, the more expert you are in that subject. That's there in material world also. That's there in spiritual world also. So, why Prabhupada said this? I shall never die, I shall live forever in my books. Why he said this? To help us realize that we must read his books. And why he was emphasizing on reading his books? Because in 1972, he wrote a letter to Hamsadut, 22nd July, and he saw that devotees are not reading his books. And the legacy continues today, that of not reading books. Nobody is reading Prabhupada books. And that is the root cause of all problems in ISKCON. 95% problems.
Our Vaisheshika Prabhu is reading both Bhagavatam and Guru.
Yeah, okay. That's good. I hope people are watching that and listening. So that's very nice. But yeah, so that culture has to be there in our movement. Of reading books, discussing philosophy, which is lacking now to a large extent. That culture of party, prasad, that is more. That is not bad to have prasad and spiritual festivals. Prabhupada said that. But that everything is designed to help us take knowledge, to supplement that and not to complement that, not to replace it. That's not a good idea. That is so in corporate world they say, work hard, party hard. No. They say like that. So Prabhupada wrote a letter to Hamsadut, and Prabhupada saying to Hamsadut, so let us concentrate on training our devotees very thoroughly in knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Note the words, Prabhupada said, let us concentrate on training the devotees. Now, we are not here to read the books, but we are here to get trained in those books. And that's a very important point, training. Prabhupada said read sometimes, and Prabhupada used this word many times, train. And there's a difference between reading and training. You know why? Because even Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamanand Pandit, they were like pure devotees. I'm a Gaudiya Vaishnava. Narottam Das Thakur, we know he was a pure devotee. Even before meeting Jiva Goswami, he got love of God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he himself gave him love of God through Padma river. We all know that. They were pure devotees, they were so elevated, but nevertheless they had to go to Jiva Goswami to get trained in philosophy. They had to learn that. So we have to get trained. Not if you get trained in knowledge, that will train your mind. And if your mind is trained, your actions are trained. And if your actions are trained, your behavior, your character is trained. You see, it all goes like that. So that is why training is necessary. Training means a systematic understanding of knowledge. That's training. And reading means you're just reading from somewhere or the other, isn't it? So Prabhupada says training, and that's what Prabhupada said. We should have courses, which should be offered to devotees. We should have a college connected to temple. Prabhupada always said. Today also I was reading, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was saying to Prabhupada. So in one of the room conversations, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was saying to Prabhupada, so you wanted a college in Kurukshetra? Prabhupada said, yeah, but wherever you have a big land, you try to make everything there, make a college. Because Prabhupada saw many devotees are coming to temple, but they are not trained properly. So what is happening is, like, we all hear lectures, we all read books, but it's very random. You see, if you ask any devotee, okay, Prabhu, can you speak for half an hour on illusion? Most of the devotees will not be able to speak. No? They know, but they can't speak. Because it's not systematic in their mind. And if thoughts are not systematic and they're chaotic, if your thoughts are chaotic, your actions will be chaotic. Isn't it? So everything should be put properly. That's why Prabhupada said train. Thoroughly knowledge of Krishna consciousness from books and from tapes. So books means all these books of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, Gita, and this and this. From tapes means what? Room conversations which are recorded, lectures, and what else? Morning walks. By discussing always and in so many ways, instruct them in right proposition. Some devotees says no, tapes and morning walks and room conversations and letters are very contextual and this and that. So Prabhupada, when he writes letters, he writes a letter to a person. So it's very specific and very contextual. But that idea is correct, but that's wrong also, because in letters and conversations, Prabhupada is giving so many general instructions. So many. And they are specific, but they are general instructions also. And by specific instructions, you learn something. You also learn. Now, having said this, I'm going to show you now why reading Prabhupada books are very important. What is there in his books that he's emphasizing so much? Why Prabhupada is saying read my books? Prabhupada once said, I didn't write these books. Krishna made me write. And that was literally Prabhupada was saying. And that's why Prabhupada used to hear his own books. In Los Angeles, no? Prabhupada used to sit BC and devotees are reading Krishna book, and Prabhupada is reading, so devotees are saying, Prabhupada, you are hearing your own books? Prabhupada said, because Krishna wrote it. So, what is there in Prabhupada book? What's so special in Prabhupada books? Can you see that? You have to little. So, Prabhupada books have teachings of all previous acharyas. And not just teachings of all previous acharyas, which will make you just scholarly, but also irresistible enthusiasm. Prabhupada books doesn't offer you just a body of knowledge, which will make you scholarly, but it also offers you enthusiasm to execute that knowledge. But along with enthusiasm, Prabhupada books also helps us to understand where to put that enthusiasm. Okay, where to put that enthusiasm? In temple construction, in deity worship, in cooking? Prabhupada says no. Primary thing is preaching, fire of preaching. Prabhupada books are fire of preaching. And Prabhupada books helps us to inspire us to preach, but then along with preaching, Prabhupada books also gives us sense of urgency in that preaching, because you can keep on preaching, but then you don't know what to do with that preaching. How fast should I go in that preaching? And so that Prabhupada books give us sense of urgency and mission. What should I achieve by preaching? What's my goal? What this preaching is to give me, what's my target? That Prabhupada books help us to understand. And not just preaching, enthusiasm, urgency and mission. Devotees are generally preaching, they distribute books, they're enthusiastic. But we have seen many devotees lack a deep philosophical understanding. They're not so deep, because it's a busy life. You're doing this. So Prabhupada books also offers us deep philosophy. You don't have to read this book, that book from market, to understand deep philosophy, because Prabhupada books are simple. No, it will give you very deep philosophy. And not just deep philosophy, but also mellows and taste. Prabhupada books, if you read, you don't become dry. Because if you simply read philosophy, your heart becomes dry, isn't it? So Prabhupada books offers us taste and mellows, also of Vrindavan. And then, having said all this, Prabhupada books also give us warnings, or 4 warnings, and helps us understand where we can go wrong, what can happen to us if we go like this. So if you're a new devotee, what are the obstacles which can come in devotion? If you're an advanced devotee, there are some warnings that you might get caught up in name, fame, or whatever. Prabhupada is giving all these warnings to help his disciples. But along with warnings, Prabhupada also gives great hope and blessings. That is there in Prabhupada books. So all these things are there in Prabhupada books. That is why Prabhupada says, my books are a complete package. A complete package. If you read my books, you get all these things. You get teachings, you get enthusiasm, preaching, sense of urgency and mission, deep philosophy, mellows, warnings, and blessings of Prabhupada. Blessings are very important. You can make a project and a big plan, but if you don't have blessings, you'll not be able to finish it. You can't execute it properly. So I'm going to give examples of each of them now. How Prabhupada books give us all these things. From Prabhupada books, I'll quote from Prabhupada books now. All these things. So, the first one is, Srila Prabhupada books have the essence of all previous acharyas. Now, so when we talk of previous acharyas, I am focusing on Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas. Isn't it? I mean to say there are many paramparas also. But Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas, they, especially Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Bhaktivedanta Thakur, who are here. It also goes like this? Okay, good. Okay. So Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Bhaktivedanta Thakur. So these 4 acharyas are known as Vartaman Acharya. So acharyas are divided into 2 parts. Purvarti Acharya and Vartaman Acharya. So Vartaman Acharya means present acharyas. Purvarti Acharyas means previous acharyas. So these 4 are our present acharya. Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, Bhaktivedanta Thakur. And previous acharyas are Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Shad Goswamis. We read in Parampara, they are previous. And it is said, it is very important to understand Vartaman Acharya. Through them we can understand previous acharyas. Otherwise it's not possible. If we try to go to previous acharyas, just only previous acharyas, the Purvarti acharyas, and not Vartaman acharyas, then we can't understand them. So these Vartaman acharyas, they understood the books of their parampara, their spiritual masters. And they assimilated it, and now they are giving to us. And Prabhupada gave the essence of all these Vartaman acharyas and previous, everything. So, how did Prabhupada do that? How does Prabhupada books do that? Okay. This is Bhaktivedanta Thakur, and this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, 9th chapter, 51st verse. And Prabhupada, in one statement of purport, this is purport. In one statement of that, Prabhupada summarizes entire philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, of Bhaktivedanta Thakur Swami. So you can read his books, that's very nice. But even if you don't make reading his books, if you simply understand this one statement and apply in your life, you can understand Bhaktivedanta Thakur's teachings. See, Prabhupada is such a genius. So, Prabhupada summarizes Bhaktivedanta Thakur teachings in 3 points, in one statement. And that's how we should read Prabhupada books, by the way. I'm also showing you how to read. Every statement must be broken into various points. One statement is packed with knowledge. You might notice, you might not notice. That's another thing, why it is there. So this is Bhaktivedanta Thakur's teaching. The first, just in 3 points, that's all. So Prabhupada writes, tear will fill his eyes, he will be unable to chant Mahamantra distinctly, and his heart will throb in ecstasy. See? This is Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Bhaktivedanta Thakur's whole life was focused on helping us to chant the holy names. Isn't it? That's Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Bhaktivedanta Thakur wrote the book Bhajan Rahasya, Harinam Chintamani. All his teachings were focused on chanting holy names. Sharanagati, you see, all holy names. In our Vaishnava song book, all Bhaktivedanta Thakur is saying, he's talking about holy names. Nama, Shuddha, Rasa, all these things. Jeev Jago, that's also holy name. Naam Binar Ki Chunai, Chauda Bhuvan Amaje. So, Bhaktivedanta Thakur talked of holy name, but not just of chanting of holy names. That was not his philosophy. That was not his teaching. The teaching was to get a taste in holy name. And there's a difference in that. Now, chanting holy names, everybody was talking at that time. All upper sampradayas were also talking. But Bhaktivedanta Thakur said, no, chanting holy name, that is okay. But my teachings will help you to understand how to get taste in chanting. And that is very different thing. No? Like new devotees, they chant, but they don't have a taste. They generally chant because of fear. No? We generally, when we are new, we chant because of fear of offense. We have to complete our rounds, otherwise there will be offense. Or if we don't chant with a concentration, then there will be offense. No, it's all basically inspiring factor is fear. Or maybe Guru said so, I have to complete 16 rounds. That's what happens with all of us. And that's okay. Beginning of devotional life is due to fear. There are just 2 words you have to remember in devotion, fear and love. Generally people engage love in devotion, but they don't know how to engage fear. And if you know that the trick to engage fear and love, devotion becomes very powerful. Whole Christianity, modern Christianity, they are talking about love but not fear. And because of lack of fear, there is lack of respect. And because of lack of respect, love is simply a sentiment, not real love. That Prabhupada mentions in Narad Bhakti Sutra. Jaranam eva, Prabhupada says, comments on that. The show of love without a sentiment of respect is simply like lusty dealings between a boy and a girl. There's no value. No essential value. You see? So that's why fear is important. It helps us to generate sense of respect. Isn't it? And that's what Prabhupada writes in Extra Devotion. Otherwise, why there's concept of offense? Why? To give us fear, no, don't do this. Why there is concept of Guru? To give us a fear. If you don't do this, then he will be angry. And he is a pure devotee of Krishna. Then Krishna will be angry. You see the point? So, yes, we chant with fear, but then we have to advance ourselves and chant with a taste. That's a very separate thing. Naam Ruchi. That Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, no? Naam Ruchi. Where he uses this word in one of his songs. He uses this word, Naam Ruchi. So that's Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada says. And how a taste in holy name. How do we know we have got taste in holy name? By these symptoms. When we have taste in holy name and we chant, there will be tears in our eyes. We will be unable to chant the Mahamantra. So when you are unable to chant Mahamantra, that's perfection. That's why if you complete your 16 rounds, you're not still perfect. In one sense. If you can't finish your 16 rounds, then Well, I mean to say, not for everybody. If you can't finish your 16 rounds, you're lazy. But if you can't finish your 16 rounds, but you're trying, whole day you're trying, but you can't chant because your throat chokes, then this means you're nearing perfection. That's one way of looking at it. And his heart will throb in ecstasy. You see this very important Prabhupada statement. His heart will throb in ecstasy means the taste of holy name is not just in your mind, but it has overpowered your body, and it is expressed now in physical form, not just in mental form. You see, that kind of taste Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants to give by chanting holy names. That's a goal, by the way. But the second point, Prabhupada says, Chaitanya Prabhu says that one should not imitate this. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's second part of teaching was this. Yes, this is the symptoms of taste of holy name. Nam Ruchi, you have to approach Nam Ruchi. These are my teachings, and if you follow this, you will get taste. But then don't try to imitate these symptoms. So his 50% of teachings, he was fighting against upper sampradayas. No? Aula, Baula, Gerat, Huna, all these. Aula, Baula, and then Sakhi Bheki, and all these people. So he says, don't imitate this. That is another point. And third point is, a devotee should long for the day to come when such symptoms of trance will automatically appear in his body. Third point is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, when you chant, okay, fine, you don't have a taste now, we understand, but you should long for the day when you will have a taste, real taste in holy name. With that desire we should chant. You see? You should not chant just to finish your rounds. It will not help you. You can chant for millions of lives, nothing will happen. Bahunam, what's that? Oh, no. Bahu janma jadi kare shabana kirtan tabu to na paaye Krishna pade premadhan. No. Until unless we put extraordinary efforts, we are not going to achieve Krishna. Bhaktivedanta said this. It's not possible. So, okay, fine, don't put extraordinary efforts, put at least some ordinary efforts, Nobody's asking you extraordinary. At least chant 16 rounds nicely. Whenever you chant, don't try to finish it. Sometimes it happens, but not always, no? If you are very busy in service. So you should long for the day when you will get taste in holy name. It is said, if you try to finish holy name will finish you. You know this? You will start committing offenses. That's all. Holy name will detect what you are doing nonsense. He is not fool. Krishna is not fool. He can know exactly what you are doing. So he might not get frustrated, but slowly, gradually, if you don't improve, he will get. He's a person, no? He's not a machine. If he loves you, he can also hurt you. For your benefit, by the way. Just like a mother. If a mother loves the child, she can also hurt the child. That's all. So we should long for that day, and with that longing we chant. When that day will come when I will have taste in holy name. And when the day will come when I will have trance. You see, Prabhupada uses the word trance. Bhaktivinoda Thakur uses this word trance in his songs. Trance in the word samadhi. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his last song of Sharanagati, in the 11th chapter, and the song begins with Krishna Dham. So have you read that song? Anybody? Sharanagati book, last song. Krishna Dham 𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 that when it enters my ear, my legs start trembling, my heart starts throbbing. I have no control on myself. That is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So our goal is to get into trance, because if you are not focused, if you are not in samadhi, trance means your thoughts, your feelings and your words are in same focus. Now our words are okay somewhere, but feelings and thoughts are somewhere, no? Feelings are going somewhere else, thoughts are going somewhere else. It's all, but you can achieve trance when all these three are in one focus. Our words, our thoughts, our words are connected to Krishna, our thoughts are connected to Krishna, and our feelings are connected to Krishna. And those things I'll talk in the next class, the art of chanting. I'll talk about that in details, but that's the idea. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teaching, simple. And this is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Prabhupada, in a room conversation with Dr. Gerson and some devotees in LA, 1975, Prabhupada speaks this. to some devotees. Prabhupada says, and this is entire teaching of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. You might read Gaur Kishore Babaji books, no problem. You can read, you cannot read. In fact, there is not much about him also, about teachings. But this is the essence. Gaur Kishore Babaji said, so when you are on spiritual platform, there is no material. Nidra, ahar, vihar, akadi, vichitau. Then you conquer over even our prime necessities. Eating, sleeping, mating, defense. Prime necessities, the primary necessities, you don't require. You will sleep less, you will eat less, there is no need of mating, very less. So the lesser you become, that means spiritual. Bhakti pareshanu bhava virakti anyata. Your spiritual advancement means you become disgusted, reluctant with this and no more. This is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Gaur Kishore Babaji, Sakshat Vairagya Murti, we say that, no? Prabhupada, so many times in his letters and his books, Prabhupada says, this advancement in spiritual life can be known when your eating, sleeping will reduce, isn't it? Prabhupada says, no? When it reduces, you are advancing. But automatically. That's one thing. Artificially, you can't do anything. And the main thing is last line. Your spiritual advancement means you become reluctant and disgusted with this. We have to sleep, of course. You can't avoid it. At least 1-2 hours. You have to sleep. At least. But at the same time, when a devotee sleeps, he becomes disgusted with the fact, I'm going to sleep, I'm wasting time. You can say you are engaging sleep in service of Krishna, but that's you can say that. But there's another perspective also, no? Yeah, we are engaging sleep in service of Krishna, but at the same time, we are wasting our time also. Isn't it? So we are engaging sleep in service of Krishna. Why? Because our body becomes fresh and then we serve Him in that way. But then, in the ultimate sense, we just wasted 6 hours. Isn't it? In that 6 hours, you've not only forgot Krishna, you forgot yourself. Such a deep ignorance. We forget ourselves. We forgot everything about ourselves. Such a deep ignorance we go in. And Prabhupada says, that is... You see, if a devotee says, I am not an illusion, you can ask him, do you sleep? If he sleeps, you are an illusion, simple. Because at least, if you are sleeping for 1 hour, at least for 1 hour, you are an illusion. No. You don't know what's happening. You've forgotten yourself. So, Srila Prabhupada, many times he even didn't sleep, no? Isn't it? Whole night he's translating and this and that and that. And when advanced devotees sleep, it's not like us, no? They dream of Krishna. That's all. They don't want ignorance like us, although it seems like that. It's very different between them and us, no? So that the idea is, Gaur Kishore Babaji's whole teaching is that you should have such a taste in holy name, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, such taste in holy name and such taste on spiritual platform that you get disgusted with the material platform. That's the idea. That disgust has to be there. You sleep, you eat, you do everything. Mahaprabhu was also doing these things. But we don't have interest in these things. We don't like them. We like chanting holy names. But nevertheless, we have to do this. Because this machine will stop. This function will get destroyed. But that's okay. We just do for doing sake. So we do minimal. Whatever is necessary, we do to keep ourselves alive. And we spend our time in spiritual consciousness. And that's what is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. The entire teaching of Bhakti Siddhanta is in these magazines. So have you heard this magazine, Gaudiya? Gaudiya magazines? Bhakti Siddhanta used to publish Gaudiya magazines. They are in Bengali. They are like so many magazines. Like that showcases the books behind. It will all fill with Gaudiya magazines. That's so big. So in those magazines, Bhakti Siddhanta's teachings and his writings and his interviews are there. And they're in Bengali. So, but the point is, you can't read them even if you know Bengali. Because his Bengali is very complex. He starts one sentence and it finishes on, like, to finish that sentence, you need a whole page. He starts and keeps on, there's no full stop. It goes on. So Bengali is complex, and Bengali is also Sanskritized. Very modern Bengali people, they cannot read. You have read Bengali? You have Bengali? Yeah, modern Bengali, they can't really grasp that. It's a very different thing. So if you want to know Bhaktisiddhanta, you have to read Gaudiyas. But you don't need to do that, because Prabhupada summarizes all his teachings in one verse, in one sentence, actually 2 sentences. This is from Elevation to Krishna Consciousness, chapter 2. And this is what Bhaktisiddhanta has to say, that's all. Even if you don't read his books, if you simply understand this sentence, you understand Bhaktisiddhanta. So Bhaktisiddhanta teachings are in two points, that's all. The first point is, even the cultivation of spiritual realization for one's own self-interest is unlawful and destructive. Now these 2 words I'll talk about, unlawful, destructive. When Prabhupada says something and uses a word, it has a meaning to that. So by this I am also teaching you how to read Prabhupada books. You see the point? You have to divide in points, you have to focus on the words. And the second point is, that all activities must be directed to satisfaction of Krishna and His service. This is from a small book, Elevation to Krishna Consciousness, chapter 2, that's all, which we distribute on streets. And when that person will read, he will say, what is this? But that is the summum bonum. Now what Prabhupada says, summarizing Bhaktisiddhanta teaching, even the cultivation of spiritual realization for one's own self-interest is unlawful and destructive. Even doing devotion for our own self-interest, that might be unlawful and destructive. Okay, let me ask you a question. What is the meaning of unlawful? Why does Prabhupada say unlawful? If you do devotion for your sense gratification, self-interest, you will harm yourself. The idea is this. And why Prabhupada says it is unlawful and destructive? What do you mean by unlawful?
I mean, it's not permitted.
Oh, yeah, okay, fine. What's the term like? So, this is English, but then what's this?
So basically,
Sanskrit term?
Which you point out, that's it defies that principle.
Yeah. So why Prabhupada says it's unlawful? Why unlawful? It's a different word, no? Unlawful. You see, if you come to Krishna for your own happiness and satisfaction and peace, Prabhupada says that's unlawful. The idea is that. If you come to Krishna and you pray, Krishna give me peace, that's unlawful. Not just unlawful, but destructive. Now I'll talk about that. So unlawful is, what is law called? Dharma. Unlawful is adharma. Prabhupada says that is adharma. If you come to Krishna for peace and happiness and satisfaction, you're not only out of devotion, but you're out of religion. You're out of religious principles. What to talk of devotion? Devotion is built on religious principles. But you're out of religion. You're irreligious. And that's a very big word, because entire religion is based on just one word. Just one. That is selflessness. That's all. Any activity which carries this virtue of selflessness, that becomes religion. Any activity which carries the evil of selfishness, that becomes irreligion. That's all, if you want to understand that. And that's what actually Prabhupada also says. I'll quote afterwards. That is what is very important. Whole life of Socrates, he spent his life to decide what is religion, what is irreligion, what is virtue, what is evil. And he used to debate and this, people couldn't guess it. Because you know why? Because the same activity can be adharma, same activity can be dharma. Isn't it? So, for example, killing somebody is adharma. But Arjuna kills, and that's his action is in the book which is a prototype for dharma. Isn't it Bhagavad Gita? It starts with killing. The book of Dharma, Gita, it starts with killing. Now, what do you say about that? Same action becomes religion. How? Why? Because ordinary killing is for selfishness, so it is a dharma. Arjuna is killing not for selfishness, but for Krishna. It is selfless, so it becomes dharma. You see? So it's unlawful. Doing devotion for one's self-interest, that's unlawful. Don't go to Krishna and ask for peace and happiness. Don't even expect that. It will come itself, no problem. It's a side effect, by the way. By the way, happiness is a side effect of devotion. So if you take a medicine, you don't take a medicine for its side effect, no? That's crazy. Prabhupada was in Mexico. I was hearing lecture, and then Prabhupada was saying, so what's the goal of life? So one Mexican said, he said goal of life is humbleness. And then Prabhupada said to devotee, Prabhupada said, tell him, even a donkey is humble. That's all. Prabhupada said, that's not the goal of life. Goal of life is not happiness. If goal of life is happiness, then birds are very happy, no? Flying in the air. It's so nice. We all want to fly in air, no? They're so happy. A monkey is very happy. At least it looks happy. Going here and there. No worries. From one branch to another branch here. So, happiness is not the aim of life. Peace is not the aim of life. If you talk of peace, the crane, you know crane? It stands on one leg. They're very peaceful, just standing for 2-3 hours, nothing, it's just meditating. Very peaceful, no problem. So, aim of life is to become selfless for Krishna. That's the idea. So, unlawful and destructive. This is very important. If we do sense gratification and if we come to Krishna for a self-interest, we will harm ourselves. We can harm. It can be very destructive because we'll start doing offenses. Now, that's the idea, no? Okay. Everybody who comes to Krishna, initially, they come with a motive, isn't it? A new person. He comes for peace, happiness, that's okay. Krishna forgives. Krishna understands he's a new person. He's a person, no? He understands, okay, he's a new, he doesn't have knowledge, fine. Come, he'll give mercy. But even 5, 6, 7, 10 years, still after that you are praying to Krishna for peace, happiness, and you're looking for all that, Krishna will become very unhappy and he'll punish you. So that may be destructive, So Prabhupada, these 2 words are very important, unlawful. Prabhupada uses such nice words, and that's why Prabhupada books have a deep philosophy in them. So you have to dissect the statements and look at this. So this is one sentence. In one sentence, Bhaktisiddhanta's entire teaching. That's all, 2 points. Okay, in one sentence, Madhvacharya's entire teaching is there. Our Sampradaya is connected to Madhva, no? So this is a letter on lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam, 1974, December 20. Madhva says, now you see, Madhva's whole teachings Prabhupada summarizes in 4 points. Just in one line, that too in lecture. He's speaking ordinarily. But his ordinary words, like so-called ordinary words, he's speaking, that also carries a deep import. When a self-realized soul speaks, he doesn't speak like us. His every word carries a depth. Because those words are coming from depth. Our words are coming from throat. Their words are coming from soul. And what comes from throat? What happens? It goes to throat only. So it will go to another ear and it will stop here. What comes from soul, it goes to soul. That's why Prabhupada's words touches the soul, no? It touches the soul. So this is Madhva's teaching. You see, Prabhupada writes, it's a simple statement, but if you try to think about it, it's all teachings. As Purusha is an enjoyer, we try to become independent enjoyer. Now the first point is, this is where Madhva's philosophy begins. As God is enjoyer, we are also enjoyer. That means our enjoying propensity is coming from God. In other words, our free will, enjoying means free will. We have free will to enjoy, no? Our free will is dependent on the free will of God. That's where Madhva begins his philosophy. You see, Madhva has two fingers, no? Like this, you see there? Oh, actually I can use this. Now, see these 2 fingers? One is big and one is short. It's coming there or what? Yeah, it comes there. So 2 fingers. See, he holds like this. So these fingers signify one, God is independent and we are dependent. It doesn't signify God and soul is different. Madhva says, I don't want to argue this is a useless point. Madhva said, no, this is crazy. Anybody who says soul and God is one, he's crazy. I don't even want to talk to him. I don't want to listen and see his face. That's obvious. But he says, okay, this is God, this is soul, and they're dependent. So our free will is dependent on God. You imagine what that means? That means if Krishna wants, he can erase our free will. We have free will, no? You understand what's free will, all of you, isn't it? We can do whatever our choice, He can erase our free will if he wants, but he doesn't do that. To let us use our will and learn how to use it in a proper way, in a right direction. If we don't have a free will, we don't learn, isn't it? Now tell me one thing. Can Krishna erase our free will? What's the evidence of that? Are you understanding my question? Can he erase your free will? Erasing free will is a big thing, You're gone. You can't do anything. You're just practically dead, You can't think freely. You're like a robot, then? Can he do that? What's the evidence of that? Yeah, speak.
Monday class you mentioned that how as a soul we still want to enjoy, but then Krishna...
Okay, forget it. No, it's a simple answer. What's the evidence? Evidence means a physical evidence, like it's not some intellectual stuff. Evidence is not logic. In court of law, evidence is something you can see, it's not logic. You see, evidence is pratyaksh, not anuman. Yeah, speak, quick.
So, for the pure devotees' case, they are completely surrendered to Krishna.
No, wait. Evidence of erasing free will. Just in one word I want. Bas. Bhai, in court, judges ask, what is the evidence he killed him? This knife. Chalo bhai, ho gaya, jail. There's no logic then. No logic. Logic you have to apply when there's no evidence. Oh, he's debating with that other lawyer, he's saying, and he says, see, this knife is there, it's his blood, and we did genetic analysis, there's same DNA, chalo, at last. Finish. And that's a very important question. What's that? Oh, yeah, just speak, that's okay.
So, is animal life...
2 words.
Animal life?
No, what animal? No. Animal life is not evidence of erasing free will. No, animals also have free will. They are not devoid of free will. Limited, but they have free will. I am talking about erasing free will. It's a very different take. Okay, if you don't know, that's fine. The evidence, you get evidence daily, by the way. When you sleep at night. Deep sleep is evidence of erasing your free will. That's all. Every day Krishna erases your free will for 6 hours. Continuous. Not just your free will, but your I he erases. The sense of I, which we have so much proud. I am deciding, I am doing this, I am doing this. Even in devotion, everything is revolving around I, isn't it? So we come to Krishna, okay, Kartik Damodar Ashtakam, why you are doing? Because you will get a lot of benefits, If you chant 1 round, it will become, what's that? We will get millions of rounds benefits. Okay, it comes to I. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. If I chant this stotra, it will give me protection. It all comes to that I. And this, Krishna erases. Okay, finish. Krishna says, you don't know how to use it, I'll erase it. That's all. Either use it properly or I'll erase it. So Krishna gives that deep sleep. Krishna says about that. And that is death. Death is permanent erase of your I. You're finished. But then of course I doesn't die. We are not Mayavadis. It gets erased. But then it again comes back in the next body, isn't it? So Krishna can do that. Krishna can permanently erase your I. Finished, you're in black hole. So free will is dependent on Krishna. That's where Madhava starts his philosophy, by the way. But second point is we misuse that free will. Isn't it? We become independent enjoyer. That's the point. We don't understand our free will is dependent on Krishna and we start misusing our free will. And because of that, third point Madhva says, because of independent enjoyer of this material world and baffled one after another, baffled, and at last finally baffled. So when we try to independently enjoy this material world, we start become frustrated, no? Isn't it? That we know. We enjoy without Krishna, we become frustrated. That's what is third point of Madhva. If you try to be independent, you will suffer. And finally Prabhupada says, then he wants to become Supreme Purusha, I am God. He tries to enjoy, he doesn't get enjoyment. He tries this, he tries that, ultimately frustration. Finally he says, okay, let me try to become God. Then I will not get frustrated. Maybe. Let's try that out. And that is Mayavad. So you see, Madhva says Mayavad is not born of a philosophy. Mayavad is born of frustration. And Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita, with raga, bhaya, krodha. You see in that purport, Prabhupada says, Mayavad is born of bhaya, fear, and frustration. When a person becomes frustrated life after life, enjoying, he wants to enjoy, he makes plans but it gets destroyed, and he says, now I want to become like God and I want to have supreme power so that my plans will never become frustrated. That is Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu was a big Mayavadi, by the way. So Mayavad is born of sense gross enjoyment and frustration. This is what Madhva's analysis is. All these Shankara people, these Mayavadis used to come and they used to say, we are Jnanis. Madhva used to say, you are frustrated people, that's all, not Jnanis. You are crazy, frustrated people. You are not Jnanis, that's all. You see, there's a difference now. How beautifully Prabhupada summarizes Madhva's philosophy. Just in lecture, he's speaking, random, he's not thinking, speaking. This shows how much Prabhupada is realized. And this shows how much important it is to read Prabhupada books and read his lectures. Lectures are transcribed also, no? And conversations. Otherwise you'll miss many things. Okay. So Prabhupada books not only give us summary of or essence of all the philosophy, Prabhupada books also gives us practical insight. It is not just philosophy Prabhupada gives. He doesn't want to make you bookworm or armchair philosopher. Isn't it like that, no? We read all philosophy, all books, and you sit and, okay, this is philosophy. Prabhupada gives practical insight. Not just philosophy, but application. Not just philosophy, but action. And Prabhupada says here, in one of his letters, 1971, Prabhupada says, if we can make good propaganda, then everyone will become attracted to Krishna consciousness. That is our mission. There is no Acharya who has used this word propaganda. No. Every Acharya has used the word preaching, prachar, or maybe giving knowledge, jnana, all these words. No Acharya has used this word propaganda. Prabhupada uses the word propaganda. Now, what's the difference between preaching and propaganda? What's the difference between preaching? Prabhupada said, you can do nice preaching, then everyone will be attracted to Krishna consciousness. No, Prabhupada doesn't say that. Prabhupada says, do good propaganda. What's the difference between propaganda and preaching? I want quick answers, there's no time. So that's why. You don't know? Come on. Prabhupada used the word very often, propaganda. You know this, no? In his books. Probably you might not notice that. Now there's a difference between propaganda and preaching. Preaching is this, what I'm doing. But propaganda is, Prabhupada said one, philosophy is for classes, kirtan is for masses. Now, propaganda requires creative ideas. To propagate preaching, there's a difference. Preaching is you giving knowledge in the class. Propaganda is you develop ideas to spread that knowledge. To spread preaching, propaganda is required. You see the point? Now, and all these foreign disciples, they were very good at propaganda. All these, Prabhupada's early disciples. Like the classical example I give, that Prabhupada went to Bombay and he did Pandal program. So there were around 10,000 people attending, every day in Bombay. Now they advertised. How they did propaganda? They put big balloons on the buildings, skyscrapers. That's a very good system. I mean to say, so even today we don't use that technique, no? Balloons. So they put big balloons, so whole Bombay could see, and they printed flyers, and they were not going door to door to give flyers. They went on the building skyscrapers and just put it in air. And whole Bombay was full of flowers, and they were falling on the head, and people were saying, "What's this?" And everybody knew. That's the propaganda. So propaganda needs creativity, and propaganda needs intelligence. More than that, creativity and courage. That's one thing. Two things: creativity and courage. Preaching might not need this, isn't it? You can apply in preaching creativity. Courage, yeah, courage also you can say, if you're going to some atheist and trying to preach him. But propaganda is, but preaching can be without that also. Just like now, what's creativity? I'm sitting here listening, that's all. Nothing big, a little creativity in PPT, that's all. But, and courage, there's no need of courage. Anybody can come and speak in temple, no problem. But propaganda is different thing. You understand, Prabhupada focused on Prabhupada said that is, propaganda is a mission, not just preaching. And that probably we have forgotten, and that is why forgotten, or it's lessened to much degree. That is why our movement is not growing as much as it should, no? Because we are not doing propaganda. We are not doing. Most of us are sitting in temples and that's it. And okay, some kind of book, we are doing book distribution, yes, go in the restaurant, temples are coming up. But this word is very different. This word means you have to do something out of the box. You see that? Something like this. All these hippies were doing like that. Prabhupada did like that. Prabhupada went to a park, sat and started. That's how movement started, no? That was a good propaganda if you take, if you consider just alone Prabhupada, he's just trying to do something. So that is practical insight Prabhupada is giving, very practical. Now Prabhupada books, this is another practical insight Prabhupada gives. This I like a lot. This is from, actually never this quotation comes there. But anyway, so this is from one of the lectures, and Prabhupada says, personal realization does not mean that one should out of vanity attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass previous acharya. That's okay. He must have full confidence in previous acharyas. At the same time, he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for a particular circumstance in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it. Yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. These yellow things are shifted. Sorry for that. They shifted, It should not be here, first point. First point is interesting. Second point is understanding. It goes like that. So Prabhupada says, this is called realization. Now, this is a very different kind of definition of realization. If you read any acharya, what is definition of realization? Many people will say realization means aparoksh gyan. If you see Madhva says it is aparoksh gyan. If you see Ramanuja, he says realization means nididhyasanam, maximum, or sakshatkar. If you see Vallabhacharya, what is realization? He defines realization as aprakrit gyan, something. Or if you go to Christianity, they say realization means revelation, a real realization. It gets revealed. But Prabhupada gives a very practical definition of realization. What is realization? If you can present the subject matter in a very interesting and understandable way, two things. This means you are realized. So you can know a person is realized or not. If you can present his subject matter in an interesting way and in a way that a person understands. You know why? Because you can't create interest unless you don't have interest. You can't do that. What you don't have, you can't give. You can give points from folio. But if you're not interested in your own points, which you have just written, you can't create interest. And if you don't understand, you can't make others understand. It's impossible. And this interest and understanding only comes when you have understood the subject matter. When you're that subject matter and you are one, isn't it? And that is called realization. And this, okay, fine. Now here's a question. From where Prabhupada is writing this? Like it's a speculation or what? This definition of realization. What is this? Huh?
From experience and from Shastras.
Yeah, where from Shastras? That's the idea. That I know from Shastras and experience. But Prabhupada is not speculating. Prabhupada is speaking from somewhere. From where he is speaking? This definition of realization. He should present in an interesting and understanding manner. That is why, if you want to know a person who is realized or not, you can know only when he starts preaching. A fool is not known until he opens his mouth. No? He looks wise. So people who don't preach, you can never know whether they are realized or not. And they can't even help others to become realized. Because they don't know. They don't want to preach. They can't understand the subject matter. If you understand the subject matter, you will want to share with others, no? If you get interested in the subject matter, you want, yes, others should know. So realization means preaching in a way which is interesting and understanding. You see the point? Now which is this verse? Prabhupada, you have to see the evidence, because Prabhupada doesn't speak. Everything is as it is. Prabhupada doesn't write from his mind. He's not a writer. Just a mundane writer. And you know this. You know this verse, but like Karna, you have forgotten how to apply it. What he says?
That one who preaches
No, that's not the verse. You need two words, interesting and understanding. That's the idea. You know it, but you don't know where to apply it. And that means you're not realized. Because if you were realized, you would have known where to apply this. But you don't know how to apply it. You see the point?
Can you repeat the question? It's still not clear.
Question is, Prabhupada says, the subject matter should be presented in an interesting and understanding manner. That is called realization. There is a definition of realization. From where Prabhupada is getting this definition? Which verse? For this, you have to read books of Prabhupada with an open mind. Otherwise, you don't get this. If you try to cram it, you don't get this. Okay, should I tell?
Yes.
Or it's a homework?
No.
Yeah, next time only. Otherwise, people don't think. Okay, so this is the simple verse. Mat chit mat katha prana kathyantas svamnityam tushyanti cha. These two words, tushyanti cha, ramanti cha. Prabhupada says, my devotees who are pure devotees, they discuss among themselves. And tushyanti means satisfaction. Prabhupada translates, you get satisfied when you understand something fully, isn't it? I understood, so I am satisfied. And ramanti means pleasure. You get pleasure in something that's interesting. So Prabhupada says they discuss with each other in an interesting way and an understanding way. Simple. That's the verse. Tushyanti means in understanding and ramanti means interesting. They have understanding of that. They get satisfied. They get interest. They get pleasure. And kathyantas chamam nityam bodhyanta paraswaram. And they express, then when they discuss, they present it in an understanding and an interesting. See? It's from Bhagavad Gita 10:9.
So is it for among devotees or is it from devotees to masses?
No, anything. Among devotees to masses, whatever. But it is both. Even you are all devotees, no? So I am presenting in a little understanding and interesting manner, no? Somewhat. Otherwise you would have slept. And normal people also. But the level differs. That's all. The principle doesn't differ. Principle has to be the same. Level might differ. Level 1, level 2. Okay, this is called practical insight. Practical insight of definitions. Prabhupada doesn't give theoretical definitions. Prabhupada always likes to give practical definitions. And this is from one of the lectures. Simple. Prabhupada books doesn't have just practical insights, but also have enthusiasm, irresistible enthusiasm. He gives insights and then he says, do it now. Don't just keep it to yourself. enthusiasm to share it. Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam purport, devotees never satisfied thinking, this is the limit of my devotional service. The more he engages in the service of the Lord, the more service he wants to give. That is why it is said there is no Sunday in Krishna consciousness. You can't relax. You can't say, I have done so much service, now I'll relax. That's the point where illusion will catch you. We can't think of relaxation. No. We have to be on our toes. And Prabhupada says, this is one of the lecture. This is nice. In material conditioned life, you can see from back. If you can't see, you can turn your back. People can see in the back. In the material conditioned life, your aim is how to satisfy your senses. And Krishna consciousness means you have to work in the same spirit, same vigor. You have to satisfy Krishna. It's a beautiful line. Prabhupada says, just like you were working like mad dogs in the material world, with same spirit you have to work here. So in material world we plan, we do this, we do that. Same thing you have to do in Krishna consciousness. That is spiritual life. Not that you have to become lazy fellow. Prabhupada uses this word, lazy fellow. Krishna consciousness means, as Krishna instructs, you must be very, very busy 24 hours. That is Krishna consciousness. Not to become a lazy fellow and eat and sleep. And no. That's not what Prabhupada wanted. We have to be busy. That's what Prabhupada says. You have knowledge, you have books, you have enthusiasm, you have insight. Now do it. That is what is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is action in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada defines enthusiasm like that. No. Intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Isn't it? In act of instruction. And intelligence Prabhupada defines in Buddhi Yoga as action in Krishna consciousness. So enthusiasm is action. If you say, I'm very enthusiastic, don't do anything. What's the meaning of that? That's why Prabhupada said, do it. Do it. Don't just keep on thinking. Don't do that. So Prabhupada forces us to do something. And not only enthusiasm, Prabhupada helps us to understand where to apply that enthusiasm. Because we can apply enthusiasm in so many things and miss the whole point. Prabhupada says, no, don't apply enthusiasm whole enthusiasm in prasadam. That's not the point. Whole enthusiasm in making temples. No, that's not the point. Enthusiasm should be applied for preaching. These are the tools to preach. That way we have to look. Not in itself. This is not in itself everything, no? Isn't it? So enthusiasm should be applied in preaching. And Prabhupada says preaching must be a fight. In morning walk. So Prabhupada says, yes, you should be enthusiastic, but not enthusiastic to love, but to fight. That's what Prabhupada was not a saint, by the way. Prabhupada was a warrior. Senapati? We heard that. What's that? Senapati. Warrior, no. It's not my speculation. It's there. You know that. You see the point. He brought a message of love. But that love is expressed as a fight. That's the point. You have to fight against what opposes Krishna, we oppose that. So that's why Prabhupada said, you challenge scientists, you challenge these materialistic people, you do this. Prabhupada says, you defeat them. Prabhupada says, you show them that they are wrong. And Prabhupada uses this word, rascal scientist and this and that. Prabhupada says, you're stupid. So that's what enthusiasm, we need enthusiasm to fight, not just to love. That's a very different take. Very different take. We have Prabhupada in his humbleness, he said, so we have one latest lecture of Prabhupada. It's released now, new lectures. One of the lecture Prabhupada said, in his last days, Prabhupada in humbleness, he said, I tried so hard, but I failed to stop the waves of Kali Yuga. Prabhupada said, we failed. Prabhupada said, our mission failed. We couldn't stop Kali Yuga. Prabhupada said that. So that Maya and Kali Yuga is advancing very fast. If you want to stop it, you have to be like a warrior. Not just like a saint. Bless, love. No, that's okay. But along with that, this is more important. That's what Prabhupada's message is. Yes, you have to stop them. Somehow. Stop them, otherwise innocent people get destroyed, What you will do? Whom you will love? There's no one. They will take everybody. That's all. So fire of preaching. Prabhupada says one of his letters to, this I told before, by the way. Prabhupada letters are very inspiring. Prabhupada says, in this 1970 actually, Prabhupada says, please accept my humble obeisances. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your kind letter dated 24 June 1970. I'm very glad to learn that your last responsibilities in family affairs are now discharged. Your 2 daughters are now married. Now in this ripe old age, you can devote yourself to spreading Krishna conscious movement all over the world. And there's a person who's got this letter, he might be like, what's happening? Yeah. I wanted to go to Vrindavan now and do my bhajan. Prabhupada is saying, now you should do that. This is Prabhupada books. If you read any other book of any other Acharya, Vishwanath, Narottam Das Thakur, Rupa Goswami, you will not get this fire of preaching. That is why many people are reading those books and sitting in Vrindavan. All these people who start reading, without reading Prabhupada books, if you read those books, it will harm you. We don't say you don't read these books, but first Prabhupada books, you have to read those books through the vision of Prabhupada. And even if you don't read those books, you don't lose anything because everything is there in his books. That's the idea. If you read, okay, fine. But first this. And I have seen many people who read those books but don't read Prabhupada books, like in Gaudiya Math and other also. So I don't say there are no good, very nice people, devotees there. But most of the trend have gone down. They can't understand what is exactly. They don't have enthusiasm to preach. It doesn't happen like that. I have seen many scholars. Jiva Goswami Shat Sandarbh, they know left and right, but no enthusiasm for preaching, nothing. I have seen that. No practical insight. All scholarly Sanskrit words here and there, and you can't understand any damn thing. You're going to change your life. Doesn't happen like that. Prabhupada gives fire of preaching. Prabhupada books also gives a sense of urgency and mission. Prabhupada doesn't say keep on preaching. Prabhupada says you have to bring an effect. It's an urgent thing. Okay, I'll preach, I'll do propaganda, and okay, fine, nicely go. No, it is urgency and a mission. This is Bhagavad Gita 9 chapter 30th verse purport. Prabhupada says, devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against illusory energy. This is preaching. Preaching means we have declared a war against this civilization. That's all. And so I think yesterday or day before yesterday I gave a lecture how Mahaprabhu's movement is about revolt. Isn't it? If you have seen that. Mahaprabhu is talking about revolt. And that was his mission. A revolt against society. And that is, it's such a nice word. Declaration of war. That is our mission. And in war, either you do or die. There are two options. In war, if you relax, what's going to happen? You're dead. That's all. You're dead. You're dead at that moment. You can't afford to relax. That's what is Prabhupada books giving us. Prabhupada books not only give preaching, practical insight, enthusiasm, and I was telling like in a movement, many people are not so deep philosophically. At least I have not noted, my personal thing. Because there are so many things, preaching and this and that and that and that and that and that. So they read Prabhupada books, but then not in a depth, or people don't read Prabhupada books. So Prabhupada books, if you read, you'll get a deep philosophy also. There's action and philosophy. You see both. So this is from one of the lecture of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada says, now this is simple, but you may not have noted this. As spirit soul, we have got our original sense, but that sense are now covered by this material contamination. Just like my senses, my hand burns during fever. But when the fever is moved or removed, when I get free from fever, then I feel nice. See? Simple. When the fever comes down, we feel nice. Similarly, we have got our senses. When we are freed from material contamination, we have got a proper use of senses and enjoyment. It's a typical example, no? Prabhupada says, when fever reduces, you feel nice. When material fever reduces, you come in your constitutional position. Simple point. But it's a very deep philosophy, and this is technically called as Swataha Praman, self-evident truth. This is one word on which whole Madhva's philosophy revolves. Swataha Praman. And that's what Prabhupada says. Krishna consciousness, you don't need any certificate. Prabhupada says, you know yourself. So for example, so Madhva gives example of Swatha Praman. Like hunger is Swatha Praman, no? Self-evident truth. If you feel hungry, you're confirmed you're hungry. You don't need a confirmation. You don't need a confirmation to prove yourself you're hungry. Praman comes with hunger. You see the point? You feel hungry and you know. You feel sleepy, you know. You feel thirsty, you know. You don't need a proof. You don't need to prove yourself, I am feeling hungry. So, knowledge and proof comes together. That is called Swataha Praman. You understand? Knowledge of hunger comes and proof also comes. I am hungry, yeah. Because it's in your experience. Krishna consciousness is Swataha Praman. Prabhupada is giving that example. When material fever goes down, our Krishna consciousness appears. Knowledge of Krishna consciousness appears and you don't need proof of anybody. You know you are Krishna consciousness within yourself. That's why Prabhupada says you don't need any certificate from anybody. If you are pure, if you are becoming pure, you will know within yourself you are becoming pure. If you are becoming contaminated, you know within yourself you are becoming contaminated. If you are genuine and sincere. That's Swatha Praman. This is another deep philosophy Prabhupada gives in lecture, one of the lecture. Very deep philosophy. Whole Vedas are based on this sutra. Yatha andam tatha pindam. You know andam? Andam means universe, like egg. Pindam means body. Whatever is there in cosmos, that is there in your body. And Prabhupada says in one of the lecture, simply this material cosmic manifestation is working very nicely. Sun is rising, moon is rising, seasons change, air is blowing, the light is there, heat is there. Why? Because there is big consciousness. And that small consciousness in your body and my body keeping this body fit. Similarly, there is another greater consciousness which is keeping this material world fit and working in order. You see? So, yatha andam tatha pindam. So, whole material universe is like a body. Just like we have a body and soul, and a soul is making a body work. Similarly, this whole universe is like a body, and the soul of this universe is God. So whatever is there, it is there here. You see, it's a replication. And then it goes to the cells. Similarly, the cells, nucleus and electrons. So this whole universe is like a hologram, you know. It goes in layers. It's whole. Om Purnamada Purnamata. That's concept Prabhupada is giving. It's a very important concept for Ayurveda. Yatha andam tatha pindam. So you see such deep philosophy in simple words. Prabhupada also gives not just deep philosophy, but what's happening? But discussions on mellows and taste. Prabhupada books will not dry your heart. You know, people say, no, Prabhupada books are so simple, our heart becomes dry. No. Prabhupada gives vision and the means to attain that vision. See, Prabhupada says in Elevation to Krishna Consciousness. Now people say, ISKCON, no, we'll leave, we'll go to Gaudiya Math and Radha Kund and this because they're talking about Radha. You don't talk about Radha. Prabhupada is talking about Radha in small book. We should be more interested in worshipping Radharani. See? Simple. However fallen we may be, if somehow or the other we can please her, we can very easily understand Krishna. This is what whole philosophy of Radha Kund is. But people don't read Prabhupada books and they say, no, Prabhupada doesn't mention about Radharani and this. Prabhupada mentions. But uniqueness in Prabhupada is, Prabhupada also defines what you mean by worshipping Radharani. Worshipping Radharani doesn't mean simple saying Radhe Radhe. Krishna doesn't lie. Okay, fine. You're saying Radhe Radhe. That's okay. But you have to live up to what you say. So Prabhupada says, a philosophy is above all things, just like we prescribe our students to illicit sex, no meditating, no intoxication, no gambling, but they're not ends in themselves. The real end is how to serve Krishna and sacrifice everything for him. This is one of a letter, and then Prabhupada says after in the letter, this is Radha. So how to worship Radha? Yeah, we are interested in worshipping Radha more than Krishna. But how to worship her? By saying Radha Radha? No. By serving and sacrificing for Krishna. That is Radha. So worshipping Radha means following her, isn't it? Following Radha means doing what she is doing in her capacity. What she is doing, she is serving Krishna and sacrificing everything for him. Now, please note, we all serve Krishna, but a level of sacrifice is different, no? And that makes everybody of us at different level. Prabhupada served Krishna, I served Krishna, you served Krishna, everybody served Krishna, but Prabhupada was the most dear to Krishna because he sacrificed for him. The more the sacrifice, the more dear you are. Otherwise, service, everybody is doing. But within that service, sacrifice should be there. So anybody can quickly tell from where Prabhupada gets these two words, service and sacrifice. From which verse? Prabhupada gets these two words, service and sacrifice. Verse. नहीं कर्म करो फल की इच्छा. तो उसमें का sacrifice कहाँ है? No. You can say, yeah, maybe to a certain extent. But it's not. But that verse doesn't mention you should do for Krishna. That is not. That's a principle. Serve and sacrifice for Krishna. Okay, quick. I'm just going to finish. No, Bhaktaram Yagitapsam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Bhaktaram means he's an enjoyer. Yagya means sacrifice. Tapsam means service. So in devotional life, service is a tapasya, and yagya means sacrifice. Simple. Prabhupada says that. So there is Radha in Gita. This verse talks about Radha. If you really think about it, Bhaktaram, he enjoys Radha. Why? Because she is having sacrifice and service. So Gita also talks about Radha. It's not that Gita is not talking about Radha, but in a hidden way. Okay, Prabhupada books also give a benevolent warnings. Now I'm going quickly. Prabhupada says, this is a lecture and this is very important. Note this, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.13.15, Geneva, June 4, 1974. Prabhupada says, these 12 men are authorized to preach Krishna consciousness, so we have to follow Mahajana Yogata Sapantha. Therefore we have created this GBC, so they should be very responsible men, otherwise they will be punished. Prabhupada gives warning to GBCs also. They will be punished to become a Shudra. Although Yamraj is a GBC, Prabhupada says Yamraj is a GBC, but he made a little mistake. We know that past time, no? Yamraj made a mistake and then he became Pidur, Shudra. The whole past time, I'm not going through that. He was punished to become Shudra. So those who are GBC, they should be very, very careful to administer business of ISKCON. Otherwise they'll be punished. As the post is very great, similarly the punishment is also very great. Prabhupada doesn't shy away saying something about GBC. You can be GBC, you can be sannyasi, you can be guru. But if you are not careful, you can fall down. Anybody can fall down. Even Brahma fell down. And Prabhupada gives a 4 warnings so that they should be more careful than all of us. As the post is great, punishment is great. Prabhupada also warns his new devotees, not just DBCs. All devotees connected to Krishna conscious movement must read all the books that have been translated. This is in Madhya Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita purport. It's in book, it's not in lecture, not in letter, so that you can say it is contextual. It is there for everybody. Prabhupada says all books means all books. You can't delete Prabhupada's instructions. Chaitanya Bhagavatam Bhagavata others. Otherwise, after some time, they'll simply eat, sleep and fall down. Thus, they will miss opportunity to attain eternal blissful life of transcendental pleasure. See, Prabhupada gives warnings to book distributors also. No, San Jose is a very big center for book distribution. That's very nice. We all know. But Prabhupada warns in lecture 972. Prabhupada says, of all these books, if we have got so many books, simply we make arrangement for selling, not for understanding, then it will simply be materialistic. Both things must go on. Bhaktisiddhanta used to say, we are not here to become salesmen. So yeah, we have to distribute books, plus please understand that. Understand. If you understand, you will distribute more, with more enthusiasm. Now the point is, but here we have to understand, if a new devotee is coming, and if he distributes books, he will get all mercy of Krishna. Because it is not expected that he will read all books one day. But Prabhupada is saying this statement specifically for people who are many years in Krishna consciousness. Now you are there 6, 7, 8 years, still you are not reading and simply distributing. Then it becomes materialistic. You see the point? There is a different take there. And Prabhupada gives warnings, and then Prabhupada gives great hope and blessings also in his book. Not just warnings. Prabhupada gives blessings. I have given you all the guidance and hints in one of his letter. Guidance means how to practice devotion. Hints means how to propagate and do management. It is described all in my books. Now it is up to you. Please keep our principles firmly and everything will come out successful. This is from letter to Mukund, Hong Kong, verse February 1974. Everything is in my books. That's why Prabhupada says, I shall never die. I shall forever live in my books. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Any questions? And you can ask. Yeah. Yeah, quick.
Lecture, very deep insight. Question is, so you said fight, the concept of fight is really attractive.
Yeah.
The thing is, we always see fight among devotees on which tool to be used.
Yeah, that's the point. Prabhupada says fight outside the temple, fight inside the temple. Fight with wrong conceptions. Okay, before I answer you, let me just tell you, these are 2 pen drives with me. Not 2, like many of them. Not just 2. But these are English and Hindi lectures. Last year, I guess you might have taken some. But these are different. In this pen drive, what I did, I put things systematically. Like whole Bhagavad Gita is there. Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. So that you can understand, no? Like all these seminars are there. So if you want these pen drives, they are both English and Hindi lectures, both. Different. If you want, you can have. If you don't have cash, I can also swipe the card for you. And these are the books. I think many devotees have taken. But those who have taken, you can take these books. Whatever I spoke whatever I am speaking in these seminars, that's in this book, Mighty Efforts. But you have to read this book slowly, otherwise it's difficult to understand. But it's there, Mighty Efforts. And there's one more book, Crazy Ideas. You can have a look. It's talking about many other questions you might have faced in preaching. You can argue with them. In that Crazy Ideas, I've given arguments from Western philosophy, Indian philosophy, not just our books. So it gives you a broad perspective. Okay, having said that. So, yeah, fighting, not within.
Tools to be used. Basically, people just have fights on that. Some say some say youth preaching, some says this, some says that. Then it itself becomes huge conflict.
Well, any fighting, whatever works, use that in fighting. Just have to defeat the enemy. If you are able to make others devotees and defeat their wrong conception, that's the best. But the best thing is knowledge and philosophy. Otherwise, we'll not be able to go much far, Like all these tools are there, book distribution, this and that. That's very nice. Book distribution is a big tool, God knows, who reads and when they read and they become devotees. We know all stories. So that's one of the tools. Govinda restaurant, that's also. By prasadam, many people become devotees. And by philosophy and lectures. So what works, do that. Yeah. But you should know all the tools. That's the idea. Because when the point comes to using something else, if the enemy shoots something and you don't know, you're dead. So warrior knows all tools, but he might use some tool at some point. But you should be expert in everything. Not that you're expert in one thing. And that's why Prabhupada says, if you're simply distributing books, not understanding, then it becomes materialistic. After some time, not initially. After some time. Yeah, Mataji.
So Prabhu, the first point that you said that it has to be, this doing devotional service for self-interest is destructive and unlawful.
Yeah.
Right? But even in Bhagavatam prayers, if you see at the end of the verses, it says that you say this prayer, you'll get this, you'll get that.
No, but yeah, I understand. Even Bhagavatam says sometimes, like Gajendra Moksh says, if you stand this, you will not get bad dreams. Kaliya says that pastime, if you think about this, you will not get fear of snakes. But that Vyasadeva has personally done. Why? To make you understand, don't do this. Because I did this mistake in other Puranas, and my Guru Narad Muni, he chastised me. Why did you give? So this is technically called as Falashruti. So every prayer, if you do this, you will get this. If you do this, you get sun. Vyasadeva says, I did this in all Puranas, and Narad Muni says, see, people will forget prayers and their mind will be in this. So to get rid of all this, Bhagavatam is Amal Puran. There is no kind of impurity. So Vyasadeva writes that to make us understand, don't fall in this kind of trap. He's not saying don't do this. He's saying don't do this. That's the idea there.
Sorry, I'm not understanding the logic, because how do you say that?
How do we see? Through commentaries.
Through?
Commentaries of Acharyas.
Oh, so for the Falashruti verses, we have to read what Prabhupada says and not take the literal meaning of what...
Yeah, Prabhupada says these Falashrutis are put in Bhagavatam to help us understand that these kind of things you will find in other scriptures. It might confuse you. Don't focus on Falashruti. That is why some examples are given, no? If you write a book and so you give example in that of wrong things also. and then you say don't do this. So typical example is there's one Shastra, Kama Sutra. In America it's famous, like that. But Kama Sutra, this Rishi, Vatsayan Rishi, he wrote like this, and then in the end he wrote, I am writing this to tell you don't do this. This is wrong, this is sinful. You see the point? So that's why Rishi sometimes write, and so many times Vyasadeva says, Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena. Whatever you have, do devotion. So an intelligent person will understand, this is written to help us understand, don't do this. People who have not understood Bhagavatam, they will get confused. And this is a sign they didn't understand Bhagavatam. So it's a puzzle. Sometimes we get puzzle, no? Okay, to test whether he has understood or not. That's a puzzle put there.
So we understand that it's destructive from the sense that we don't go back to guardian. So it's destructive for our spiritual progress.
Offenses, we do offenses.
But why is it unlawful? What is the law and why is it
unlawful? Because if you do anything for self-interest, that is adharma. Adharma is, foundation of adharma is self-interest. Even if devotion is done for self-interest, that is adharma. It will give you sins and not benefit. You see the point? That is why. Did you understand?
I understand, but it's really painful.
It is, yeah.
We don't get inspiration other than I. So
no, why? That's whole devotion process, no?
Yeah, but
if we don't get anything, we don't get inspiration to do anything. But that is materialistic. That's what we have to change our mind. If Krishna gets something, we are inspired. That is devotion. If we get something, its devotion is not about us. Devotion is about Krishna. Even if we go to hell, doesn't matter. That is pure devotion. That's Mahaprabhu's gift. So, of course, you don't get inspired. So, when people are new, of course, they'll be thinking about themselves. But that's not the gift of Mahaprabhu. So if they like to stick to this principle, then they'll not get anything in ISKCON. Mahaprabhu came to give a gift of pure love. That is difficult to digest. But Mahaprabhu is giving the gift and also the means to digest that gift. That's why he's very merciful. He sends acharyas and sends a practical method. So, it's not painful. Initially a child might think, studies are painful, but later he'll say, yeah, that's interesting now. Isn't it? So initially it might seem funny. That's not the inspiration factor for us. In fact, we hate the thought that it is helping us. No, we don't like that thought. Devotee should not like that thought. Devotion gives me peace, no, forget it. Devotion gives Krishna happiness, okay, good, this is good, I'll do that. So that's a training, that's all training. Okay, so we have to, and how much time we should?
Thank you, Prabhu. So you were mentioning about the propaganda, Prabhu, the word propaganda, and you were telling we should be very creative and we should put our attention to create new methods of preaching. But we see that there are lots of new methods that are coming out, and not everything is successful, and not also everything is creativity within the bounds of Prabhupada books and scriptures. Creativity outside scriptures, that is creativity in ignorance. Creativity within the bounds of scriptures, that is creativity in goodness. So you're right, it should be within the bounds of scriptures. That is presumed in that. When you talk of propaganda, you should not go, you're right actually. This is an important point. If you go I have another point to understand. The thing is that when you are speaking, because you have read Srila Prabhupada's book very deeply and thoroughly, that's why you have insight that Srila Prabhupada has presented this philosophy of this sampradaya in these words. But if somebody comes from another school, say for example somebody is from Sri Sampradaya is coming and telling, our Acharya has also these teachings, but words may be in different way or phrases may be in different way. So,
well, then he can show that. Good. If your acharya is having, that's very nice news. You also become perfect. That's okay. But it's not there. This, what Prabhupada has given, it's not there. Because Prabhupada teachings are tailored for this time. Those acharyas were 900 years back. When they were instructing, no. They were different kind of situations. So it is suited for us and future. Prabhupada is given like that. So even Sri Sampradaya, so Chinnajiyar, like one of the main, he also praises Prabhupada books. In fact, he got enthusiasm to preach from Prabhupada books. He admits that. Even Madhva Sampradaya, Puti ke Mat Pejavar Mat Swami, they said, they themselves said, what we can do in 100 years, 800 years, Prabhupada did in 10 years. And Swamiji, I think Pejavar Mat, Puti ke Mat, I don't know exactly which one. He went to foreign America. He came here. It's not allowed to cross Indian border. But he said, well, I read Prabhupada books and I got inspired to teach. And they frankly admit. So then, it's not like ordinary. The acharyas are admitting.
Probably early in the lecture you were talking about Nam Ruchi, and later in the lecture about preaching. So Nam Ruchi, there seems to be an understanding that one has to put effort in chanting holy name, and preaching may not give that much time. So I just wanted to understand what exactly then is Nam Ruchi. Somebody says that too much time, not able to give time to chanting.
Okay. So this point of balancing chanting and service and reading books, I'll talk on the last day. But the idea is, the more you chant with ruchi, the more you like to preach. Prabhupada says the result of good chanting is you want to serve Krishna, isn't it? That should be the result. So if you chant with taste, you will want to share that thing, with everybody, and that's preaching. Ultimately, what's the end of preaching? Chanting. If you can't bring that person to chanting, what's the point of your preaching? What you are doing? So it goes together. It goes together. That's how it goes. But that balance, I'll talk about that in the last class, about balance.
So, Prabhu, we chant to purify ourselves. So, how is it service to Krishna when we chant?
Yeah, that is next lecture. On Saturday morning, I'm going to talk about the art of chanting. It's a good question. How chanting is service. Now that I'll ask you all first of all on that day. And that's the whole lecture all about that, the art of chanting. If you can figure out this, your chanting becomes perfect. But to figure out this, that's the most difficult part. How that is service. We know that is service theoretically, but how exactly that is service? That's why I'm going to talk there. Isn't it? Okay, so there's no question. Thank you very much for hearing and listening to this. So my whole intention by this seminar is to show you how to read Prabhupada books. I mean, people, 95% devotees are not reading books, by the way, as far as my analysis. Some devotees are reading also, but not as it has to be read like this, from a very practical manner. So I just helped you to see how you should read Prabhupada books and make it a point to read his books daily. That's very important. Don't let even a single day go without reading Prabhupada books. And the practical thing to do in your life, like you are all busy people, unnecessarily busy. Let me say this. So, but how to do is keep Prabhupada books in your bedroom. Don't make a shelf in your house. First of all, it's waste of money. It will be always in your shelf, as it is. Yeah, it will do nothing. You'll never read it. You see all these magazines and newspapers. So we keep these magazine newspapers where? No, on table, no. So that some guest comes, he'll pick it up and read. So keep Prabhupada books in your bedroom. Or in your drawing room, on the table, in your bedroom. So whenever you sit, maybe sometimes you'll see and pick it up and read. Like that. It'll help you to read those books. And you keep it in bedroom, and whenever, as soon as you get up, before getting up from your bed, take that book from behind you and read it for half an hour. Otherwise, if you start doing your life, then you will not get time. Am I right or not? You might think, today I'll read, but you will not get time. But that's some practical insight. I do that. Because our life is also busy, you have to talk to many devotees. So as soon as I get up, before keeping a foot on the ground, I take that book and read for half an hour. And so in that way, even earth will feel blessed. Otherwise, earth will think, what is this burden on me? One more burden. So you have to first keep Krishna in your mind and then step on the earth. Isn't it? So that's a very good thing. Morning. And when you sleep, before sleeping, also take that book and read for half an hour. So like that 1 hour reading you do, without disturbing your schedule. And you can keep on doing that. Any other schedule if you make besides this, that's good, that's additional. But those kind of schedules I have seen practically, sometimes you'll do, sometimes you'll not do, sometimes here and there. But this schedule you can do anywhere on this planet, no? Even if you travel, you can do. You are traveling somewhere, relative or somewhere, you will sleep definitely. So you get up, read half an hour, sleep, you read half an hour, that's how you read Prabhupada books. And if you want to learn shlokas or Prabhupada's, learn it in bathroom. That's all. I'm speaking something practical. Don't say I told learn shlokas in bathroom. But that's what you will be able to do it. In bathroom you spend like 40 minutes, like most of you. Isn't it? We spend like 5-10 minutes. We are like brahmacharis. But for grihasthas it takes time. So 40 minutes you just read one verse, go in bathroom, repeat, keep on repeating. After 40 minutes when you come out, you will remember that. I've tried this with many congregation. So I was in Charlotte, somewhere, I was in Omaha. I told devotees to do like that. In 3 days they learned 6 shlokas. And it works in bathroom, what to do? So keep on repeating and you are undisturbed. So like that you can read many Prabhupada books. So 1 hour daily you get for 360 days, 360 hours. You can finish many books. Okay, thank you very much for coming here. Now we'll all do the Damodar Ashtakam. And if anybody wants these pen drives, they can have in English and Hindi. All this what I've got to say many things I can't share. Can't tell you now everything, but I'll discuss. Saturday morning we have Art of Chanting seminar, 7:30, and then Sunday evening I'll do Art of Service. Krishna Dham, Krishna Dham. Anyone wants pen drive, I'll be there outside on the table and books. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay.